The story begins as Hasley Weigel, a restless student, wakes alone. She leaves home after reading her mother's message. She reaches school and slips into class after the lesson begins. But the teacher sends the confused newcomer back into the hallway. A blonde student barely notices her. He deliberately mangles her surname in front of everyone. She waits outside after the teacher rejects her late arrival. She leaves class humiliated by her disastrous first morning. Luke keeps provoking Hasley. He points out the teacher never admitted her. Luke Howland, a troubled repeat student, skips class behind the school. He waves foil at her like it's contraband. The supposed contraband turns out to be ordinary toothpaste. He deliberately gets under her skin before walking away. Luke leaves before she answers. She soon catches the attention of a friendly classmate. Olivia, Hasley's welcoming classmate, pulls her into a new group. She invites Hasley to sit with her friends. She meets Olivia's friends, including the blunt Carla. Olivia warns her away from Luke. Matt enters just as Luke's reputation takes another hit. Matt, Hasley's charming classmate, confidently introduces himself. He charms Hasley by complimenting the name everyone mispronounces. The group worries after learning Hasley's mother is their new psychologist. Matt gives Hasley his number before they separate. Matt invites her to practice. Carla says Luke changed after his brother Zach died by suicide. Carla explains that Luke changed after losing his brother Zach. At home, Hasley's mother keeps unpacking their latest move. Hasley returns carrying the troubling story she heard about Luke. Her notebook becomes a plan. She finds Luke behind the school again the next day. He studies her dream list instead of returning to class. He grabs Hasley's notebook and discovers her private dream list. The list reveals how badly Hasley wants a larger life. She takes the notebook back. Luke admits he envies her for still wanting anything. She refuses to let his bitterness destroy her plans. She still refuses to abandon the future she wants. She fills the list with dolphins, cliffs, and open roads. She unexpectedly enjoys their argument. He promises to fix that, giving them a reason to meet again. He offers marijuana to test Hasley's trust. But a teacher catches them before Hasley can answer. The coach sends everyone back to basketball practice. Luke takes the punishment alone. Olivia reassures Hasley that the new school will get easier. Matt uses the next class to ask Hasley out. He stays after class because Hasley has captured his attention. He promises Hasley a better life during their drinks. Hasley enjoys Matt's attention during their first date. That evening, Hasley returns home. At home, Hasley admits she enjoyed her night with Matt. He admits the date exceeded every expectation. At home, Matt nervously meets Hasley's observant mother. Her mother teases her, making Matt's interest feel more serious. The next day's practice exhausts everyone. He slows down, so Hasley will not finish alone. They immediately demand every detail about Hasley from Matt. Later, Carla announces a party at an empty house. The next day, Hasley tells her friends about Matt walking her home. Then the physics lesson begins. Luke arrives late and takes the seat behind Hasley. Physics gives Luke and Hasley another excuse to reconnect. Hasley notices Luke drawing instead of following the lesson. She learns Luke is 19 after repeating a school year. Luke watches Hasley instead. That night, half the school floods Carla's house for the party. Carla quietly admits the crowded house does not belong to her. The crowded party gives every couple somewhere to disappear. Another arrival interrupts Carla's already overcrowded party. Andre struggles with the sound system. They bond while fixing the damaged sound system. Meanwhile, Matt tries to pull Hasley away from the crowd. She introduces herself to Andre while he fixes the equipment. Hasley arrives as Matt searches for privacy. He nervously spills his drink before leading Hasley upstairs. Matt leads Hasley upstairs. She slips upstairs to find an empty bathroom. Hasley slips away when Matt's attention becomes uncomfortable. Upstairs, Luke is also searching for an empty bathroom. But Matt leaves, trapping Hasley alone in the hallway with Luke. Matt turns away to help Zev. She begs Matt to help move their drunken friend outside. Luke immediately warns Hasley that Matt will only hurt her. She rejects Luke's judgment because he barely knows her. Their argument ends when Hasley's drink spills across Luke's shirt. Luke gives her his shirt. Luke gives Hasley his clean shirt, softening their hostility. Luke listens as Hasley warns that people will gossip about them. Luke believes everyone eventually breaks, exposing his hopelessness. They give Hasley another reason to follow Luke. Hasley accepts his mysterious invitation. He leaves the party and invites Hasley along. Hasley follows Luke through the crowded party. She challenges Luke to prove the night can improve. He tests her trust before offering the helmet. Luke offers Hasley his helmet before they leave. Luke carries Hasley away from the party. Luke protects the final path. She closes her eyes and trusts Luke's directions. He makes Hasley close her eyes before revealing the refuge. The hidden path opens into Luke's private refuge. The glowing greenhouse finally appears in full. The greenhouse becomes central to their growing trust. She finds Luke's refuge filled with family memories. Luke discovered it with Zach. Zach's crystal still scatters moonlight across the greenhouse. They preserve Zach's presence inside Luke's refuge. The keepsakes preserve Zach's place in Luke's life. She learns Luke's brother Paul now lives in London. She questions the boulevard's name. He explains the refuge is named after his favorite track. Hasley challenges Luke to chase dreams. Instead of merely recording them, she learns that Luke inherited his mother's restlessness. She learns Luke's father left when he was still young. She starts trusting his idea. They turn their honesty into a dreamless deal. That deal sends Luke toward their first shared challenge. Their first dream begins with an awkward dance. Their first completed dream strengthens the new partnership. Afterward, Luke offers to walk Hasley home. She quietly tries Luke's name. She hides the night with Luke by lying to Matt. She texts Matt another lie before reaching home. The next day, Luke's family tensions follow him to the theater. At the theater, the sold-out film ruins Hasley's plan. A spilled drink sparks conflict. She watches the lobby argument become painfully personal. He warns Hasley that Luke remains dangerous. He later checks on his cousin at the concession stand. Luke's cousin jokes about the childhood nickname Luke hates. He warns Luke against expecting hope. Luke pushes Andre to stop hiding his feelings for Olivia. Andre finally acts on his feelings for Olivia. They reconnect during the next physics lesson. Matt asks Hasley whether she is free that afternoon. Hasley leaves class without giving Matt the answer he expects. Luke remains behind after Hasley avoids Matt's question. She secretly delays Matt. Luke arrives at Hasley's house, ready to continue their game. Luke finally admits his magic number is 520. Luke pairs strawberry ice cream with popcorn for their next challenge. He offers Hasley a ride after Matt cancels. She holds Luke close. Back at the greenhouse, their trust keeps deepening. She learns Luke uses 520 for love. He dreams of receiving 520 roses one day. He claims drugs let him escape the pain temporarily. Hasley nearly accepts them, but protects the boundary she set. Hasley refuses Luke's drugs. Luke respects Hasley's boundary, preserving their growing trust. The greenhouse visit ends with Hasley holding her boundary. He closes the record store after the customers leave. After the customers leave, Luke closes the record store. He says records provide his only feeling of safety. He creates their private dance floor. Luke chooses records for their private evening. Hasley's dream list guides their next move. They share records that make Luke feel safe. She finally chooses Luke when the store becomes private. Their attraction becomes impossible to ignore. Luke returns to records after Hasley leaves. Feeling hopeful again, Luke calls his brother Paul. He calls Paul because meeting Hasley restored his hope. He tells Paul that meeting Hasley has made him happy again. Meanwhile, Olivia prepares her debut. They marvel at Andre's skill behind the decks. She asks Luke to build her debut around meaningful tracks. Luke insists every track should carry a personal meaning. They notice Hasley and Luke can no longer hide their attraction. She remains drawn to Luke. They still believe Matt remains the safer choice. They warn that Zach's death changed Luke completely. He once belonged to their group before Zach died. They explain that drugs and conflict followed Zach's death. They warn Hasley to choose. Then Matt returns, still believing Hasley belongs with him. Matt returns believing his relationship with Hasley remains secure. At school, Matt acts normally because he knows nothing about Luke. The next morning, Hasley knows she must finally choose. He remembers only perfection. She promises Luke she will end things with Matt. He kisses Hasley after she promises to choose. At school, Luke stays close after their kiss. At the theater, Luke's cousin urges him to pursue Hasley. He covers the counter so Luke can plan their date. Luke asks his father for one free evening. He plans their date. But his father refuses, because Luke's addiction makes the date dangerous. His father confronts him about using drugs every night. Luke attacks his father's failures before storming out. Meanwhile, Hasley faces Matt. Hasley tells Matt that their relationship no longer works. He leaves for a tournament believing distance will repair them. She ends the relationship, leaving Matt with his flowers. That night, Luke loses himself inside another club. The crowded club becomes increasingly violent around Luke. Then a fight erupts around Luke. He struggles through the crowd, already losing control. Another attacker drives Luke toward the exit. Later, another confrontation forces Luke out through the red door. Luke escapes the club through its red door. Meanwhile, December's celebration approaches. At school, Carla resents how quickly Hasley joined the group. They recruit Luke to handle sound for the glitter party. He waits outside while Hasley confronts her mother. Hasley's mother scolds her for barging into the private session. Meanwhile, Luke waits alone inside the greenhouse. Hasley discovers Luke's secret therapy. Luke absorbs Hasley's demand that he leave her alone. He refuses to leave Hasley alone in her distress. He warns that staying close will only hurt Hasley further. He fears their growing bond will eventually destroy Hasley. Hasley refuses to accept Luke's warning about them. She refuses to abandon him. Hasley forces Luke to reject her directly, but he cannot. She makes Luke confront what he truly wants. He watches Hasley complete her side of their deal. He completes their moonlight challenge before leaving. She thanks him for staying beside her through every challenge. She adds fireworks to their list. Together, they finally complete the fireworks dream. They plant a tree for their next shared dream. They turn the greenhouse into Paris with a postcard. Each completed dream pulls them closer together. Hasley trusts Luke with another private wish. They sleep beneath the stars for another shared dream. They turn a seaside swim into another dream. Hasley finally experiences her dream of swimming freely. She accepts Luke's improvised version of her impossible dream. Luke improvises another dream. She argues that life remains worth choosing. She asks Luke to stop hiding their relationship. Luke calls their shared dreams a boulevard they built together. Later, basketball practice keeps Matt close enough to interfere. Matt corners Luke beside the court. Hasley steps between them and orders Matt to leave Luke alone. She finally tells Matt their relationship is over. Matt refuses to accept the breakup and turns to Luke for answers. Matt pleads again, but Hasley's decision remains final. She tells Olivia that Matt still refuses to let go. That night, Olivia makes her debut. Luke asks Hasley to let him fully enter her life. Olivia's first real DJ set wins over the crowd. Andre checks on Olivia before the biggest set of her life. Luke and Hasley celebrate Olivia's successful debut. They stop hiding and kiss openly. She waits anxiously for Andre's honest reaction. Luke notices Matt searching backstage. Andre gives Luke another chance for Hasley's dreams. Luke receives another chance to fulfill one of Hasley's dreams. Outside, Hasley waits without knowing Luke's plan. Luke arrives in the van to continue Hasley's dreams. They drive with no destination, together this time. The van carries them toward an unknown destination. They climb atop the van beneath the night. He admits during the drive that drugs still control him. Hasley listens, as Luke finally discusses his addiction. He finally tells her everything. Zach once teased Luke with a nickname he hated. Fed up with the teasing, Luke shoved Zach during the drive. He recalls Zach losing control mid-argument. She hears that headlights blinded Zach before the crash. Luke cannot release his guilt. Hasley pulls Luke back from the memory and rejects his self-blame. He finally believes his guilt might be survivable. They finally admit their love after facing Luke's guilt. Hasley answers Luke's promise by pulling him into an embrace. Their confession leads to a night together. They trust each other with complete vulnerability. Their embrace makes the relationship feel permanent. By morning, Luke considers their uncertain future. He promises he will return. Their private night ends before school resumes. Hasley wakes facing what comes next. Hasley's friends discover their kiss is public. The next morning, Hasley enters school under everyone's stare. He hears that Hasley had already ended their relationship. He blames Luke for Zach's death, reopening the deepest wound. Hasley recoils from Luke's violence. Her friends pull Hasley back as the hallway fight erupts. Luke pins Matt down before the others can separate them. She begs Luke to run before authorities arrive. At home, Hasley's mother comforts her after Luke disappears. Luke remains missing. She learns her mother finally has a permanent job. Hasley tells her mother that Luke vanished after the fight. Meanwhile, Matt returns to his friends, still blaming Hasley. Hasley's friends watch the scandal spread through school. At school, Hasley keeps facing the leaked photo. Meanwhile, the gossip spreads. Soaked from rain, Luke tells her they need to talk. He believes Hasley hid him because she was ashamed. She offered hope, never pity. He rejects Hasley's help because shame has replaced trust. Luke abandons the conversation and walks away again. Alone, Luke returns to the greenhouse in despair. He runs deeper inside, shutting everyone out. Then Luke reaches for drugs and relapses again. The relapse quickly overwhelms him. His strength disappears as the overdose worsens. He drifts through memories of Hasley. Finally, Luke collapses unconscious on the floor. They find Hasley isolated afterward. Hasley's friends stay nearby while she recovers from the fallout. A friend tells Hasley she can't fear gossip forever. They urge Hasley to learn from her mistakes instead of hiding. Hasley quietly absorbs her friend's difficult advice. Her mother's advice returns. Matt reveals Luke nearly overdosed, but uses it to shame Hasley. He warns that another overdose could kill Luke. She finally sees that Matt wants control, not reconciliation. He wakes at home and hears Paul off-screen. He learns Paul has come home. He hears Paul's plan to take him to a London clinic. He immediately rejects Paul's London treatment plan. Then Luke's father enters, forcing the family conflict into the open. His father absorbs Luke's warning about Hasley. He hears his father's admission. His father absorbs Luke's darkest accusation without fighting back. Luke hears his father wish they could have traded places. After facing his father, Luke seeks Hasley. Hasley visits Luke before he leaves for treatment. He keeps apologizing until Hasley finally stops him. She focuses on Luke's survival. He tells Hasley he is leaving for treatment in London. Hasley promises they will face recovery together. He refuses Hasley's offer to wait through his recovery. They recover their familiar teasing before the painful goodbye. She finally speaks without fighting. Luke confirms that he will leave for rehabilitation. Luke watches Hasley preserve their bond permanently. Back at the Boulevard, she calls it their dream's continuation. Before Luke leaves, Andre invites him to one final party. They tease Luke and Hasley about their obvious feelings. Luke asks one final favor. The cousin hears Luke's request to protect Hasley after he leaves. He promises to protect Hasley after Luke leaves. They pull Luke into one last hug. That night, Hasley enters still seeking Luke. At the glitter party, Hasley waits for Luke to arrive. Luke studies Zach's old photograph. The photograph recalls the cabin Luke once built with Zach. Paul admits that Zach's death still hurts after all these years. Someone toasts him anyway, nodding at Hasley across the room. Luke crosses the party to farewell Hasley. He gives her $5.20. He slips away after hinting at the airport. She calls after Luke, but he disappears into the crowd. Hasley searches the crowded party for Luke. She tries enjoying the party despite Luke's disappearance. The party breaks apart when Matt confronts Carla and Hasley. He starts another fight in the middle of the party. Hasley tries to leave Matt. Hasley learns that Carla was the one who leaked the photo. He finally hears how badly he has humiliated Hasley. The fight spills outside, turning the celebration into chaos. They restrain Matt before he can reach Hasley. Luke appears with one rose. Luke runs to Hasley as headlights close behind. Luke's rose falls onto the rain-soaked road. Soon, Luke's coffin confirms he did not survive. Hasley breaks down before reading his final letter. Finally, Hasley opens the letter Luke left before his death. She braces herself for Luke's final explanation. He wrote it expecting to begin treatment in London. He hoped treatment would make him worthy of their future. Soon, everyone gathers for Luke's funeral. They follow Luke's coffin toward the cemetery. At the grave, 520 roses complete Luke's final wish. Roses surround the place where Luke is buried. Luke Howland's gravestone confirms the life cut painfully short. Luke treasures their first kiss. She remains at Luke's grave as his letter continues. He promises to love Hasley beyond her memories. He imagines a future where Hasley still chooses life. He promises to return whenever Hasley needs him. He leaves Hasley their refuge. His letter promises devotion despite their separation. Luke even admits their first meeting was deliberate flirting. His final signature confirms that Hasley changed his life. Hasley returns to the greenhouse carrying Luke's goodbye. After the funeral, Hasley keeps Luke's letter inside their greenhouse. Months later, Hasley keeps moving forward.